Hey guys, I'm finally finished with this project and ready to do some photo and video reviewing of it before I send it out to its client. This is a custom project that I've been working on for a while. This was actually a commission, and actually the very first commission that I've ever undertaken, and I think it's safe to say that I definitely bit off a little bit more than I could chew. I think after talking with the client for a while, basically it was a long process of just planning what we actually wanted to make in the first place, but it just was a lot of work, basically doing all the planning and then figuring out basically what I was going to have to do for making basically what the client wanted from this kit. And I think it's succeeded pretty close. We had to make some sacrifices, some things that I just couldn't do, just wasn't able to do. I just don't have the experience to do it. This is also the most customizing or the most modding that I've ever done on a kit, so it was definitely a learning experience for me to work on this kit. And so yeah, in this video I just basically want to show you guys everything I did and just kind of talk about it. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a long video because there's a lot of things that I did. And basically, as you're seeing it now as it is, this is in its very most simple form. There's a lot of extra stuff that's going to be going on this over the course of the review, but I wanted to just show it to you like this now because I only want to put that stuff on once and then take it apart again, and then so I can ship it to the client. I don't want to have to take all the extra stuff on and off too many times because it is fragile. I just want to make sure that nothing is going to be broken or anything, right? That wouldn't be good. So yeah, I've been working on this project slowly over the course of like 8 months, something like that, I guess. It's pretty crazy, but there was a long time that actually it's been finished, and then I just needed to finish up the very last bit, which was just an extra base for it, because it actually requires 2 bases. I'll get more to that in a little bit, but I basically just want to talk about what the client wanted from this kit, and basically what he wanted was just something that was using the HG XekuEins kit as a base, and basically turning it into something similar to like a Deep Striker, where it's got a load of extra equipment on there. But he wanted it to be like a bit of a tribute to Char in some way. So we were toying around with ideas about that, ideas for what kind of equipment to use on it. He didn't want like any huge cannon. He wanted it to be more of like a very high-speed assault mobile suit. So that's where a lot of the extra equipment's going to come in a little bit later when we put that stuff on. For now, this is, like I said, just basically the basic mobile suit. The other thing that I wanted to go for with this kit is making it look like it was basically sort of a test unit, as in basically a lot of the extra stuff that's added onto it is supposed to look like it's kind of in its test phases, like some prototype equipment it's using. So I don't know if that comes across, but I hope it does, and I'll explain in more detail about some certain areas and different parts and just everything that I did on it and kind of the reasons why. A lot of the things that I did on it, I tried to keep it, like in terms of the modifications, I tried to keep it sort of realistic, as in like not just adding stuff on for no reason at all, but trying to add stuff on in ways that will make sense, if that makes sense. I guess it should. So I tried to just keep this as sensical as I could, realistic, I suppose you could say, as far as realistic as you can be for being a giant robot. So the first thing, the base kit is the HGUC XekuEins, but there's parts from a lot of different kits in there. There is a lot of parts, not a lot, but around the legs and arms there's a lot of parts from the real grade Zaku II, so that's there. The elbow joints, the knee joints are replaced with the joints of the real grade Zaku II, so that would give the joints a lot more detail and a lot more posability, although I don't think that the posability is still that much, and actually I don't really want to even test it to see just how posable it is, because I don't want to break or overextend anything. I'm not going to go over too much of the posability for this kit, but that's that. Of course, I used the energy cables from the real grade Zaku are here on the legs. Most of the leg is the real grade Zaku on the inside, and then it's just got these new parts on the outside. These are the parts from the XekuEins. These knee parts and ankle parts, there we go, that's better as a close-up. These knee parts and ankle parts are actually from the Master Grade EZ8, or no, the Master Grade Ground Gundam, but same parts. I had the kit, and I had like the version of that kit that comes with the clear parts, so those are actually the extra clear parts from that kit, so I think that's like the back of the leg for that, and that's like the top of the foot or something. But the reason why these knee parts are like they are is because I wanted them to be sort of like crash shields, basically, so like if he's boosting along at really high speed, just doing some assault, and then like there's some mobile suits like coming to attack him in the way, these can basically be like, you can just like raise up his knee and just sort of as like a deflector kind of crash shield, just like push some guys out of the way or something like that, and just it works as just some extra armor on there. So, and they're separated from the main part of the leg just so that they can be detached and discarded if need be. So that was kind of my idea behind those. These front ankle guards are just kind of just to give some more armor just around the ankle. That's that. Then moving around here on the side, we've got these parts. These are actually from the Hitekkai Ginkei kit, which is a kind of spaceship from the Ikaruga game series. It's a Kotobukiya kit. I used most of the parts of that kit in various areas on this custom, so we'll see the rest of the parts of that kit around in different areas. So those are basically there as just like a unit for stabilizing verniers. So as you can see, it's got these just small verniers there on the side, and then underneath as well, there's some verniers, like a larger vernier underneath. So basically just to kind of help with the vernier adjustments, the flight adjustments, because the main booster unit is a huge booster, we'll see. I'll show you that. So that's going to be for forward thrust, but then it's going to need a lot of extra smaller thrusters and verniers to just kind of help its flying. So that's that. And then here you can see that's the kneecap of the Zaku inside there, and then all that inside is the Zaku, RG Zaku's leg. And then these propellant tanks on the back are just original from the XekuEins, so those aren't new. I didn't add those. They're just there. And I guess just to talk a little bit about the color scheme here too, as we're coming to an odd color with that green. Most everything is either in flat black, very dark navy, and then a couple of other different shades of gray mostly. And then all the verniers are in this bright yellow. I think it was either character yellow or yellow orange, one of those colors. And then all of the fuel tanks are in this dark green color. So that was the color scheme I went for this. Here coming around, you can see some modifications I did around the hip. That was probably one of the hardest things on this kit, was making the hip joint to do what I wanted it to do, which was basically still maintain as much of the movement of an RG hip joint, which is able to rotate and then like do all the different kinds of stuff an RG hip joint can do. But yeah, it was very difficult to do that. But I think, anyway, it came out okay. It does what it needs to do. And as you'll notice, there's no back skirt armor on at the moment because that's a very large extra piece. So I'll get to that in a minute. These smaller boosters here on the back of the feet are actually the side skirt armor from the XekuEins. So the XekuEins side skirts were just on there. I just moved them down here to the back of the feet. And that worked out pretty well because there was a large space in there that I was kind of worried about filling up. Those worked really well to fill that. And those are articulated. I guess I'll go ahead and bring this up a little bit now. They are able to move up and down a little bit, not a whole lot, but you are able to get some movement out of that. Of course, these just move a little bit as well. This side part moves up and down. There, I'll give you a look at the underside of that. So just a little bit of painted detail. The feet, the original XekuEins feet are just all one piece. I split them and made them able to move as well. So there's an extra little joint that I added in there just to make so that toe can point down a little bit more. That's a part that's really fragile. I've broken it a couple times, so I'm trying to be very careful with that, but there is a little bit of movement there in the toe. Of course, the front skirt, or not the front skirt, the front ankle armor, that for the mechanism for that, I actually used the part from the RG Zaku, which is used on the shoulder armor to connect the top of the shoulder to the shoulder armor. I used that here to connect to the front skirt, the front ankle armor. And then here, this part for the knee is able to move a little bit as well, but I think it's pretty fragile. I don't really want to try to move it too much. Yeah, this part is able to move a bit as well, so that is that. And just to give you a little bit of a look at the knee articulation, I tried to keep as much of the Zaku's leg armor there. So it's basically a mix of the XekuEins leg armor and the Zaku's leg armor. So that is that. So this front piece there on the top will move when the knee moves, like that. That opens and closes. So I think that came out looking pretty cool. Although it does look very thin, or just very small compared with just how big and bulky the lower part of the leg is, and it's just got a pretty simple inner frame there, but anyway, it's alright. It does what it needs to do. This skirt armor is pretty simple on the front. This is just the original XekuEins skirt armor there, and then that's the Zaku's front skirt armor that I just drilled some holes into this centerpiece and just popped those into there. They're just glued in place, so those are parts that I really have to be careful not to break those off, because I didn't bother putting like any polycaps inside that part. I just drilled out and then just stuck those in there. Works pretty well. These side skirts are interesting, I think, because they actually come from an old 1/550 scale New Zeal. And basically what I did was take the shoulder armor of the New Zeal and then just cut it and reshape it, and added this thruster in the side to make some pretty fitting looking side skirts there. I think it turned out pretty well. They really fit the overall shape and design for what I was looking for just some larger skirts. And then just a little extra little bar piece there. There's a lot of just little extra little pieces added here and there. I'm not going to point all of them out, but on the side skirt, here on the front, here on the knee, those kind of little extra bars and stuff. That's basically, I think, everything from the waist down is pretty much covered. The legs are really heavy, so just when I get it up on the base, that was one of the problems for this kit, was that I had to make the base so that the base would actually separate the legs, because if it's just standing like that, they can just go straight down. They can't support the weight enough to stick out. They just fall down. And while I'm here, I'm realizing I forgot one more thing as well. The inside of the leg, the XekuEins leg just goes up and around like that, but I wanted to make this part extend down more. So I actually used parts from a HG Bear Guy kit, and they're actually the parts that are extra parts from the Bear Guy that are from the Hitekkai kit, which are the parts that make up the top of the head. So, you know, the Hitekkai has the rounded part, armor parts for the top of its head. That's what I used here. They fit the shape very, very well in there, and then just putty and smooth that down just to make the inside of the legs a bit more fleshed out. So it can stand on its own, But up on a base, I needed something to help separate the legs. I'll get more to that here in a bit. Okay, so moving on to the upper body, the torso is pretty much all original. I didn't really do any modifications except for just adding some parts. This energy cable is original for the XekuEins. All of these vents, that's all original. Like I said, I basically just added some parts. Probably most notably is this long red part sticking out the front. Now, I'm not sure if people are going to like that or not. That was a part from the Hitekkai Ginkei kit, and I just thought I wanted to try to utilize that somewhere in the kit, and that seemed kind of okay, basically as just sort of like an extra sort of antenna, basically as some for some added, how can I say, basically to improve its sensor capabilities, I suppose, is what I want to say. And yeah, so that's that. Here on the side of the chest, if you can see, there's these small little like turrets kind of on the side of the chest. Those are actually from some really old Yamato kits, and those those are like turrets from a Yamato ship. So just put those there on the side of the chest as just sort of like anti-personnel or anti-missile, just some like anti-missile machine gun turrets kind of things there. They don't move or rotate at all, but they are there on the side. And then lastly, just these little fins here on the top of the chest between the head and the shoulder. Those are just some pieces, once again also from Yamato kits. And they're just cut and reshaped a bit to fit on here as I wanted them. So just those extra little fins there just for some more detail. Now onto the shoulders. The shoulders are asymmetrical, as you can see. They're different on both sides. This side has the energy tank, and then this side has a place to plug in the cannon that we've got for this. It's not a crazy huge cannon, but it is a pretty big cannon. That just plugs into there. So that's basically where the energy tank, yeah, it's the energy tank, right, from the XekuEins plugs onto there. But these, I had to cut and reshape those a little bit. They extended out more on both sides, so you can see they're asymmetrical now. This one's smaller. This one's a little bit larger, but I still had to cut that one down as well. The shields on the shoulders are much smaller. They were longer, and basically I just cut out a section and then just put them back together to shorten those up, just because I didn't want them that long. But I still wanted to keep the beam saber handles underneath there, so I kind of like that, how the beam saber handles are sticking out from underneath the shield. That's pretty cool. That's how they were on the XekuEins, but of course on the XekuEins they're totally covered. But now they're just kind of sticking out. I think it's cool. So you can just like reach over and pull one of those out. That's pretty cool. On this side there's just nothing, just like that. Then the arms. The arms are mostly inside. They're mostly Zaku arms, real grade Zaku. And so the elbow joint is there. We're gonna get elbow movement like that. Some pretty nice separation in those parts for the upper arm. Those parts for the upper arm, basically everything on the upper arm had to be reshaped and bulked up. So I just had to add some plot plate and putty all around there to bulk up those parts, because the Zaku arms were too thin looking for this kit, so I had to do that. Then I used the front part of the XekuEins arm here for the lower arm there, but I had to kind of reshape that so it would fit with, so like where the XekuEins arm fits onto the Zaku arm, I had to make it so that they look like they blend pretty seamlessly. I think it came out pretty well. At first it was not looking good at all, but I think I was able to salvage that. Then I added a polycap here in this part and extended this part out a little bit as just sort of like an extra kind of wrist guard here, and then added this shield bit which is able to move on this polycap, can open up like that, and then it can rotate a bit too, but you probably don't want to do that, just opening it up. This is from an old 1980s XS kit. So that's from the XS Gundam, and I just basically added some plot plate onto the sides of that to make it a little bit wider. And then, so yeah, that just adds this kind of extra shield on the back of the arms there that it can use for whatever. So there's just a better look around the back of the arms there. So that is that. The hands are number one in red, if you haven't noticed. So that was just something else that I thought would look cool for this kit, just to give the hands a kind of brighter color on there. And I don't know. And anyway, the hands are not original to the XekuEins. The XekuEins hands were way too big and like bulky, blocky. They just didn't look good at all. And the real grade hands are not really that great. So these are the just Bandai HD Builders Parts hands, the rounded Xeon versions. So they're pretty nice. They look good. I've got a few different other hands here used for different things. I'll show you here in a bit. That is, I think, everything that I did on that. The upper arms, yeah, okay. The upper arms here in the top, the shoulders, I modified that part a lot to add some extra articulation, because basically the XekuEins could not lift its arms up like at all, only about like that much was the maximum, but I modified that so that it could get a much higher reach up on there. So that worked out well as well, and I think works out well. This side is heavy and sags down. Sadly, I might need to just maybe add some glue in there just to try to stiffen that joint up so that this shoulder armor piece can stay up more. This side sticks pretty well, I think, but the other side doesn't. And then the last thing we can talk about is the head. So the head is not really modified much except for this big antenna on the top, serving as basically kind of a commander antenna. And that is also from the Hitekkai Ginkei kit. So just basically had to reshape that a bit, and then it's basically just glued and puttied onto the top. And then instead of the mono eye, I went with a visor for this kit. So I just used some Aurora paper there on top of black paint. I thought it was going to be pink, but it came out blue. The Aurora paper itself is pink, but I guess it depends on what color you've got underneath it is going to change the color of how it appears. I guess. I didn't know that, but I figured that out because the visor came out blue, but it's okay. I quite like it. So yeah, that's about that. So I think that just basically about covers it. I guess I keep noticing other little things. This side, since I wasn't going to be using the energy container on the shoulder, I just put these little kind of armor plating parts on there just to cover up that, so that it looks like it's just like the port where you could add this extra armor. It was there, but now it's just been covered up because this is a experimental use, so it's not using that port anymore, so it's just been covered up. That's basically it. Then I guess we can go around and talk about the backpack, what's left of the backpack here. There's this gaping hole in the middle of the backpack. That's where the new large booster piece plugs into there. So I didn't bother trying to make it look pretty as it is right now, because that large booster is going to be plugged in. But this is basically just the XekuEins backpack with just that middle section cut out so that I can plug in the new booster. So that's pretty much it. That wasn't really too hard to do. Just had to cut that part out, and then that backpack is all just painted up. I gotta say, I do really like the decals. The decals that I used on this kit, if you'll notice, there's quite a lot of them, and they're from a lot of different decals. I used just basically a lot of different stuff on here, so I'm not gonna go in and try to remember which exactly sets of decals I used, but there's a lot. Another thing up on here, if you'll forgive, some of the decals are silvered quite a bit, especially up on this energy tank, which is very disappointing, but not a lot I can really do about that at this point, except for just taking those off, but I think I'm just going to leave them. I drilled a hole here in the back of the energy tank and then added this little circular piece, which was just an extra piece from the energy cable for the RG Zaku. Just use that there because I'm going to plug in some wires in there that will run across the backpack over to the cannon. So this is actually the energy pack for the cannon that goes on the other shoulder. So they're going to be connected by some wires, and we'll get to that shortly. I think that finally just about covers it for the main mobile suit. A little bit of a bend there at the waist. The head is just pretty normal as well. And that is pretty much it. So that I think is going to basically cover it. Yeah, just a lot of modifications there all over the place. But I basically wanted to make it look as unique and close to what the client wanted as possible. So that's that. Now let's go ahead and in the second part of this video I want to go ahead and start talking about everything else that goes onto this kit. And one more thing I guess I ought to mention before we actually end this part is that I forgot to talk about the name of the kit. As I mentioned before, the client who this kit is for wanted it to be sort of a tribute to Char. So after a lot of kind of thinking about it and thinking about some different ideas of how to kind of keep the name somewhat similar to the original name of the XekuEins, but in some sort of way just modify it in a way or something related to Char. I came up with XekuSchweifstern because Schweifstern means comet in German, I guess, and I wanted to keep it German because the name is XekuEins. The name of the kit was XekuEins, and the Eins part is German, so I wanted to keep that part German. And Comet made sense because of number one, the red comet, Char's nickname, and as well, that was one of the specifications that the client wanted for this kit. He wanted it to look in a way like a comet with just behind the mobile suit, just a lot of like boosters and rockets just out the back of it. So it just kind of fit in that way. So XekuSchweifstern is basically the Zeku Comet. So that is where the name came from and why it has that name. If any of you plugged it into a translator already, or if you know German already and you already figured that out, then you probably maybe already figured out what the name meant at this point. But that's what the name means. Now, just to end the video, I'm going to show you just some 360-degree views of the kit, and then, yeah, like I said, in the next part of the video, which will be the next video, I'll go over basically everything else that the kit comes with, or that I made to come with this kit. So anyway, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.